At either entrance. And if you have any other accessibility needs, our greeters can connect you with resources. In case of emergency, there are two exits you came through, one through here on my right and on the left through a couple of doors. Sophie, are we live stream for the audio? Okay. And thanks. We'll get started in a few minutes and we'll begin our worship with music. We invite you to enter into a place of calm meditation for our prelude. Thank you, Allegra. Thank you, Liam. Good morning. Welcome here in the sanctuary and welcome online to the Sunday service of the Unitarian Universalist Church of St. Petersburg. were on land stolen from the Tocobaga and Seminole Native Americans. Those of us who are pagans celebrated Beltane last week, and Buddhists observe Vesak, the birth of the Buddha. My name is Ben, my pronouns are he and they, and I'm excited to bring you today's worship service, Mother's Day, Trans Truth, and Tenderness. We'll have more music from Allegra and Liam, as well as Todd Wellman and the UU St. Pete Bell Choir. And I'm very excited, today's guest preacher is my friend, Dr. Jess Martinez Hunt. Welcome, Jess.
Thanks, Ben. My name is Jess, and my pronouns are they, them, or none. If you want a church where trans joy is sacred, Black Lives Matter, and all children are our children, I have good news. You may have found your church home. The lighthearted energy of our children is welcome here, and we encourage our families to bring your children and grandchildren on a regular basis. In the back, there's a basket with fidget toys for children and adults.
Thanks, Jess. We have two announcements today. One of them you probably know. Next week is our annual meeting. So those of you who have been members of UU St. Pete for more than 60 days can vote on our budget, can vote on our slate for board members. So please stay afterwards next week for that annual meeting. And our second announcement, we're having some technical difficulties this morning again. Our camera decided not to work, so Sophie is broadcasting live stream to YouTube with audio only and with these lovely screens that we have because the camera is broken. And my thanks to Lucinda Zeman, who is doing audio and video on a Facebook Live video. So if you're seeing this live, you're only hearing us, and my apologies. And if you want to experience both the audio and the video, switch to our private Facebook group to experience both.
And please read the rest of your announcements in the order of service, the monthly newsletter, and on the TV in Gilmore during coffee hour.
Now, as Unitarian Universalists, we are a people of diverse beliefs, but we share a common faith where every being is worthy of love, that what we do in this world matters, and that we're connected. We're connected to one another. We're connected to the earth. So whoever you are and wherever you are in your journey, you are welcome here.
And allow me to give a special welcome to any newcomers. If you are new to UU St. Pete, or even relatively new, could you maybe give a little wave? And if you'd like, you can briefly introduce yourself. Reverend Ben will bring a microphone to you so that those on YouTube can hear what you're saying. You're under no obligation to say anything, but if you're willing, we'd love to hear from you. So I saw a bunch of waves. Anyone brave enough?
We have one brave.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan. I moved here from San Diego at the beginning of the year, and I just really love the message that's being shared by this church, and I've just been kind of looking for a more structured spiritual practice, so I'm happy to be here.
Welcome, Ryan. Good to have you.
Anyone else? Bueller? Okay, got some. All right. Thank you very much for sharing. And thanks for putting your cell phones into worship mode or mute. And now is the time for us to turn and greet our neighbors. Say hello to someone you aren't close friends with today and share what brings you joy. And remember to ask for consent if you're going to hug or shake hands.
Please help us sing our children to the classes.
Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
Now please rise as you're willing and able for our first hymn, Find a Stillness. It's number 352 in the gray hymnal.
Find a stillness, hold a stillness, let the stillness carry me. Find the silence, hold the silence, let the silence carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony. Seek the essence, hold the essence, let the essence carry me. Let me flower, help me flower, watch me flower, carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony.
Please remain standing for our chalice lighting. The flaming chalice is a reminder that we choose to focus here together for this time, and we believe such time is sacred. Mike Lovejoy, Diana, and Isabel are going to light the chalice, and when they do, I invite you to say our covenant out loud. The words are in your programs. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. You may be seated. Thanks, girls.
We come to the time in our worship service for joys, sorrows, and concerns. Those of you on YouTube Live are not in this room, but your presence is still felt. Please type your joys and sorrows into the text chat. If you have a joy, sorrow, or concern to submit during the week, please write to Reverend Ben at minister@uustpete.org.
And one of you have already sent up a card, so if you're madly scribbling on a card, now is the time. You can bring it up. And my mother, Johanna Zeman. I forgot to say Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day, everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Many of you know that Mother's Day was first conceived in 1870 by Unitarian Julia Ward Howe, and I'm happy to be joined by my mother here. She's going to place a stone in the water for each one that was submitted this week, and once we've read each card, Jess or I will say the person's name out loud at the end of it, and then we'll invite you all to repeat the person's name.
First, a stone of healing for Azariah Moses. Please send your thoughts and prayers to Azariah as he works on his health and well-being at the VA in Jacksonville, where he has relocated. Azariah Moses.
Azariah Moses. A stone of sorrow from David and Nancy Provost. Their daughter, Molly Gutcher, suddenly passed away on Friday, May 1st, following a long illness. Her loving family was with her. Molly Gutcher.
Molly— a stone of joy from Anne and Fred Seidel. Next Thursday is the opening of the new Legacy Galleries at the National Civil Rights Museum in Memphis, a 5,000 square foot exhibition focusing on the impact of King's legacy in today's social movements. Barbara, who are Anne and Fred's daughter, was the project lead for over 50 films and interactive experiences in the $2 million exhibit.
Yes, Barbara is also Lucinda and my friend from Boston, and Jane and Mason's granddaughter Lucy interned with Barbara at Northern Light Productions last summer to create many of the experiences, including the Say the Names exhibit at the Black Lives Matter Gallery. Barbara and Lucy are both the product of UU youth programs. Anne and Fred are so proud. Barbara Seidel.
Barbara Seidel. We have a joy from Chris McDonald. My great niece Maeve was 1 year old yesterday. A source of great joy to me and my whole family. Happy birthday to my great niece Maeve and also our own Gigi, head of membership here. Happy birthday, Maeve.
Maeve and Gigi. Stone of joy, sorrow, and concern from Bianca Hatton. Bianca is so happy to celebrate her first Mother's Day after 5 years of infertility. Her heart is filled with joy and also sorrow for those who struggle through this day. Bianca Hatton.
And we have a sorrow from Dominic. My cat Ashitaka passed away yesterday. Dominic.
That's all I have.
Okay, I have a joy and a sorrow from Katie Bray. My friend Lynn, who joined me here today, I'm assuming that's the joy, along with the stone of sorrow as her father passed away in early April.
Let's place one more stone, and that's for those joys and sorrows that remain in our hearts. Perhaps they are too tender to be spoken out loud. May all of us find a comforting and compassionate presence in the warmth of fellowship and community. And we now invite you to say the UU St. Pete mission out loud. It's printed in your order of service. Our mission is to be an inclusive, evolving religious community that inspires spiritual and intellectual growth to make our world a better place. We bring our mission to life through our wide range of shared ministries, social justice, religious education, pastoral care, and many more. The mystery is we are connected. We're connected even when we feel apart. So let's rejoice in our beloved community that makes of the many one, and let's take a minute of silence together. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, justice, whose hold me close, wings set me free, Spirit of light, come to me, come to me. Thank you, that was beautiful. Our reading today is by the poet Billy Collins. It's called The Lanyard. It's usually the poem I read to my mom on Mother's Day.
The other day, I was ricocheting slowly off the blue walls of this room, moving as if underwater from typewriter to piano, from bookshelf to an envelope lying on the floor, when I found myself in the L section of the dictionary, where my eyes fell upon the word lanyard.
No cookie nibbled by a French novelist could send one into the past more suddenly, a past where I sat at a workbench at camp by a deep Adirondack lake, learning how to braid long, thin plastic strips into a lanyard, a gift for my mother.
I had never seen anyone use a lanyard or wear one, if that's what you did with them. But that did not keep me from crossing strand over strand again and again until I had made a boxy red and white lanyard for my mother.
She gave me life and milk from her breasts, and I gave her a lanyard. She nursed me in many a sick room, lifted spoons of medicine to my lips, laid cold face cloths on my forehead, and then led me out into the airy light, taught me how to walk and swim, and I, in turn, presented her with a lanyard.
Here are thousands of meals, she said, and here is clothing and a good education, and here is your lanyard, I replied, which I made with a little help from a counselor.
Here is a breathing body and a beating heart, strong legs, bones, and teeth, and 2 clear eyes to read the world, she whispered. And here, I said, is the lanyard I made at camp.
And here, I wish to say to her now, is a smaller gift, not the worn truth that you can never repay your mother,
but the rueful admission that when she took the 2-tone lanyard from my hand, I was as sure as a boy could be that this useless, worthless thing I wove out of boredom would be enough to make us even. Happy Mother's Day, Mom.
That's wonderful. So let's take a breath together. A deep, full breath. Sink into a big sigh to let it out. One more time, really come back into yourself. Remind yourself that you are already loved here, and you do not have to perform your way into belonging here. Good morning, beloveds. Mother's Day can be a tender day, and for a whole lot of people, it is also a complicated one. Mother's Day has never felt simple to me, and it's probably not surprising coming from me, a trans parent. There's a great love on this day. There's a real tenderness, and also a strange weight of a day shaped by stories about gender, family, and belonging that do not always know how to hold lives like mine or families like so many of ours. This day can be beautiful, and it can also press on all kinds of places. It can stir up love, grief, gratitude, dysphoria, longing, pride, disorientation. It can stir up memory, can stir up absence. It can bring us close to the people who cared for us well, and it can bring us right up against the places where care was inconsistent, withheld, confusing, or gone too soon. This day asks for brightness, cards and flowers and brunch reservations, all with carefully chosen captions. And sometimes that brightness fits, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it brushes right past the truth people are carrying in their bodies. So I want you to know today, you do not have to simplify your story to be welcome today. You do not have to be clear about what you feel or force gratitude where grief is sitting. You do not have to clean up what is complicated in order to belong here. And I think part of what days like this can feel so charged is because they bring us close to some of our deepest questions. What kind of care and love helps a person grow? What did I receive? What did I miss? What have I had to learn to live without? What kind of tenderness am I still hungry for? What would it be like to live in a community where need was welcomed and held with dignity? Somewhere underneath all of that, underneath the family stories and the tenderness and the ache and the cultural expectations, there's an even deeper story shaping us. Stories about what love is, about who gets held, about whether need is welcome, about whether care is abundant or scarce. Stories about whether belonging is something we live inside or something we must earn. I think a lot of us inherited stories that taught us to distrust our needs. Maybe it came through our family, maybe it came through church, maybe it came through the patriarchy of our country and its absolute worship of and deep devotion to self-sufficiency. Maybe it came through all of those things braided together so tightly we can no longer tell where one ended and the next began. However it arrived, many of us learned to be wary of need, wary of tenderness, wary of asking for too much, wary of being too much. Many of us learned that being lovable meant being easy, that being strong meant asking for very little, that goodness meant staying composed, that worthiness was something we had to prove. That story gets deep into a person. It gets into how long we wait before asking for help. It gets into the voice in our head when we are hurting, into the shame that can rise up when we cannot keep carrying everything alone, into our relationships, our parenting, our leadership, our communities, and the way we imagine the holy. That's part of what I mean when I talk about patriarchy. I don't just mean men. I mean a whole system organized around domination, hierarchy, scarcity, and distance. A whole way of imagining power that tells us love must be rationed, that authority must be controlling, success means needing as little as possible, and the strongest and holiest among us are the ones who can endure the most without asking for help. And beloved, that is a brutal theology, even when nobody ever called it theology. even when it arrived dressed up as family values, responsibility, maturity, or faithfulness. It gets into how we speak to ourselves when we are hurting, how long we wait before asking for care, how ashamed we feel when we cannot carry everything alone. And I think that's part of why Mother's Day can feel so charged. Because for all the sweetness this holiday tries to sell us, it's also sitting right on top of some of the deepest questions many of us carry. What does real care feel like? What have I had to become in order to survive? What kind of tenderness do I still long for? What would it mean to live in a world where care was treated as sacred responsibility? Dr. Christina Cleveland's work in God as a Black Woman has shaped how I think about all of this. She's a Black feminist theologian writing from inside a tradition that has used patriarchal theology against Black women's bodies and lives specifically. She's not offering some sweet sentimental correction to harsh religion. She's offering a sharp and necessary theological challenge to the God of domination many of us were handed. She's exposing the ways white patriarchal theology has malformed our imaginations, distorted our relationships, and taught us to confuse control with holiness. And one of the gifts of that challenge is that the sacred does not exist far off from human need, cold and evaluative, waiting to see whether we have earned care. The sacred draws near. The sacred responds to hunger, grief, vulnerability, and longing as part of what it means to be alive. Not embarrassing interruptions, part of being alive. That's what is important to me. It's important to me as a person, and it's important to me as a parent. It matters to me as someone trying to become a minister in a world where so many people have been taught that love is conditional. And it matters to me on Mother's Day, because whatever else this day brings up, it brings us back to questions of nurture, care, protection, tenderness, and who was expected to carry those things with too little support. So what is the alternative? What does it look like when power is organized around relationship instead of domination? When strength is measured by how honestly you show up rather than by how little you need? When love is offered as practice, as covenant, as way of being together? That, my friends, is the matriarchy. And the matriarchy, it's something genuinely different. As I mean it here, it's a way of being with each other that treats need as holy and connection as the point. It doesn't ask us to shrink or our hunger or hide our longing. It expects us to show up whole with our grief and our joy, our uncertainty and our becoming, and it meets us there with care. In a matriarchal way of being, your need is not a problem to manage, it's a connection point. Your vulnerability is not a liability, it's a doorway. The measure of a community is not how well it conceals pain, but how honestly it holds it. That is a completely different world than the one patriarchy builds. Mothering, at its most liberative, says, you do not get to crush this life because it's inconvenient to you. It says your dignity is real even when the world forgets it. I will not confuse punishment with formation. It says becoming takes time. We belong to one another, and that belonging holds responsibility. Too often, especially in religious spaces, the people praised as nurturing are actually being asked to carry everyone else while receiving very little themselves. This kind of care is not martyrdom. Too often, care is extracted without reciprocity. Too often, women, queer folks, trans folks, Black and brown folks, and other intersectionally marginalized people are expected to hold communities together while also swallowing harm. Too often, exhaustion gets dressed up in spiritual language and called holy. That is not liberation. That is exploitation with a soft, sweet voice. Liberative care includes boundaries, truth-telling, accountability, protecting what is vulnerable, saying no when no is what love requires. Real nurture helps us grow toward freedom. Real nurture refuses domination. Real nurture knows that belonging without dignity is not belonging at all. This comes in when I talk about covenant. When I'm not doing trans justice work and I need a little break, I do conflict engagement work. In our tradition, covenant is a living, practiced promise to stay in relationship, even when it's hard, to keep our shared values intentional, even when fear and urgency pull us somewhere else. Covenant at its best is the community's ongoing answer to the question, what do we owe each other? Patriarchy's answer says, earn your place, prove your worth, minimize your needs, perform your devotion, show up finished. But our faith says something different. You already belong. Your needs are places where connection happens. Your hunger is an invitation. Your vulnerability is a doorway. Show up with what is real, especially when that real is messy, tender, uncertain, grieving, half-formed, still becoming. You are welcomed as you are, and you are also called to welcome others the same way, to show up for the person next to you with the same care you hope to receive, to practice imperfectly and repeatedly the community you want to live inside. This is a countercultural act. It cuts directly against the grain of what the world has taught most of us about belonging. We are conditioned by capitalism, by white supremacy culture, by patriarchy, yes, even by church, to believe that love is conditional. Not all of us in the same ways, not all of us at the same cost, but the lie reaches most of us somehow, that we have to be the right amount of needy, the right amount of capable, the right amount of palatable. And our faith says, you do not have to earn your welcome here. We are responsible for building communities where that is actually true for every person who comes through the door, where need is welcomed, where struggle is a part of wholeness, where love doesn't ask you to make yourself smaller, and people don't have to earn the right to arrive whole. This is what it means to practice love at the center, as a shared covenant. It's a promise about how we will live with one another as human beings. It's the ongoing practice of saying, you belong here, and we mean to act like that is true, even when life is messy, even when grief is loud, even when conflict comes, someone shows up tired, uncertain, hangry, needy, or still becoming. That kind of covenant is hard to practice if we're still secretly committed to the old theology of scarcity. If some part of us still believes that only the strong deserve dignity, or only the composed deserve welcome, or only the low needs people are easy enough to love, that will build communities that reward performance and quietly punish honesty. And beloved, people are tired of performing, tired of editing their grief into something more palatable, of apologizing for needs, of carrying family pain in silence so nobody else gets uncomfortable. People are tired of trying to earn tenderness. This should be one of the places where they can finally stop. So on this day, I want to make room for that complicated truth. For those of you whose mothers loved you well, I hope today carries gratitude and warmth. For those of you whose relationships with your mothers are complicated, I hope today gently makes room for the truth without performance. For those of you grieving mothers, children, possibilities, versions of family, or whole chapters of your life you thought would unfold differently, I hope today meets you tenderly. For those of you who mother in ways the world barely notices, through caregiving, mentoring, organizing, protecting, feeding, sheltering, advocating, checking in, staying late, remembering, and making room, I hope you know your labor is real, necessary, and appreciated. For those of you who are bone tired from carrying care in a world that keeps extracting it from people without honoring it, I hope you are met with care yourself. And for those of you who do not know what to feel today, you do not need to force clarity to be welcome here. Your story does not need to be simple to be sacred. Our stories do not need to be simple to be sacred. The places where love was fractured are still worthy of tenderness. The places where care was missing are still worthy of grief. The places in you that learn to hide need in order to survive are still worthy of gentleness. And the parts of you that are still hungry, still becoming, still trying to trust that love might be bigger than what you were taught, those parts are welcome too. How do we do that? We respond to human need with delight. I know that might sound simple, but I promise you it's not. It's a whole spiritual practice. It asks a lot of us. It asks us to notice when the old reflex of scarcity rises up, to resist the urge to pull away from what is tender, to release the fantasy that people will become lovable once they're less complicated, to believe that care is not a burden placed on the worthy few. It's a part of how we live our values in the world. Respond to human need with delight. Your own, too. Let yourself be a person, a whole one, a tired one, a grieving one, a hopeful one, a person who still longs for more tenderness than this world usually offers. And ask yourself, who mothered me into fuller life? Who taught me that love could tell the truth? Who showed me that care could be brave? Who helped me trust that my life was worth protecting? How am I called to practice that kind of love, to help life flourish? How am I called to protect dignity, tell the truth, and nurture freedom in a world organized against those things? Let us keep becoming a community that knows how to meet one another there, with presence, with dignity, with room, and the kind of love that struggles and stays. Thank you.
Thank you, Jess. We eat fruit from trees planted long before we were born. May we plant seeds that bear fruit long after we are gone. Here in this sanctuary, the offering will now be given and received. What's given freely is received with great joy. Thank you. Please rise as you're willing and able for our closing hymn. This is my song. It's number 159 in the gray hymnal.
This is my song, O God of all the nations, a song of peace for lands afar and mine. This is my home, the country where my heart is. Here are my hopes, my dreams, my holy shrine. But other hearts in other lands are beating with hopes and dreams as true and high as mine. My country's skies are bluer than the ocean, and sunlight beams on clover leaf and pine. But other lands have sunlight too, and clover, and the skies are everywhere as blue as mine. Oh, hear my song, thou God of all the nations, a song of peace for their land and for mine.
You may be seated.
Go now, beloveds, held in the knowledge that you are loved, not just tolerated, not just included, but delighted in. May you release the messages that asked you to shrink. May you find the sacred that draws near when you are hungry, that does not flinch at your need, that says, yes, come here, I have been waiting for exactly you. May you mother each other the way the sacred mothers us, with full presence, fierce tenderness, and wild love. Your story does not need to be simple to be sacred. You are enough. You have always been enough. Go live like you believe it. Amen, Ashe, and blessed be.
To dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to bear with unbearable sorrow, to run where the brave do not go, to right the unrightable wrong, to love pure and chaste from afar, to try with your arms are too weary, to reach the unreachable star. This is my quest, to follow that star, no matter how hopeless, no matter how far, to fight for the right, without question or pause, to be willing to march into hell for a heavenly cause. And I know if I'll only be true to this glorious quest, that my heart will lie peaceful and calm when I'm laid to my rest. And the world will be better for this, that one life, scorned and covered with scars, still strove with their last ounce of courage to reach the unreachable stars.
Thank you, Todd. Allegra Everett has agreed to extinguish our chalice, and Mike, if you want to say your announcement right after we do that, that'd be perfect. We invite you to follow along with the hand gestures. We got light of truth, warmth of love, fire of courage. The words to our traditional chalice extinguishing are in your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of love, or the fire of courage. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world. Mike? Yay, Mike. Thanks, Allegra.
I approached Reverend Ben this morning and asked him if I could say a few words, because this is going to be our last day at this church.
You got to put it closer to your mouth.
This will be our last day at this church. Yeah, that's kind of the reaction I was hoping for. That's the way I feel too. You may have seen my little girls running around. You've never met my wife. She's allergic to the word church. She's a sweet person. I asked Reverend Ben if I could do this, and you can tell him you made a mistake later. I'll try and keep it short, not forget what I wanted to say and not say too much. But my father used to always tell me, when you're in a difficult spot and didn't know what to say, to start at the beginning and tell the truth. So I'll try and be concise, because I know y'all got things to do. When I was about 15, I heard about Emerson, and I asked for a book for Christmas, and I kept Emerson essays by my bedside for like 20 or 30 years. I was raised Methodist, and I married Presbyterian, and for a good 30 years, I went to church, helping my kids to learn how to go to church, my biological kids. And I always said the Nicene Creed. I think probably most everybody here knows what the Nicene Creed is. And it never made sense to me. Even when I read Reverend Billy Graham's explanation of communion, transubstantiation, virgin birth. I mean, I said it because my parents took me to church, so it must be true, right? I think that's the way a lot of us get started in religion. But sometime in my 30s, I realized that I was doing a disservice to the other people in the congregation to stand there and pretend to say the Nicene Creed when I didn't believe it. I don't think they wanted a congregation full of non-believers. So I quit going to church. And of course, the community was missing. But I never really thought much about it. I just thought I lived in a country of Christians that I could not ever fully assimilate into. And then one day my kids, these adopted kids, came home from school talking about their friends, talking about Jesus and drawing pictures, and they said, like, what's a church? And who's Jesus? And I said, well, it's better they hear it from me than from somebody else. And so I looked around to try and introduce them to the whole concept of congregations and faith and stuff. And I remembered Emerson. And also, if you guys don't know it, we come from a long line we come from a long line of people that have questions about the Nicene Creed. Have you ever heard of the Jefferson Bible? Well, you can get this on Amazon for like $5.95. What Jefferson did as an adult, as an old man, he went through the New Testament and took out all the mysticism, all the occult, all the superstitions, supernatural stuff, and just stuck to the moral teachings of Jesus, who he thought was a great teacher. So that's a good one to have if you want it. Anyway, the kids and I, most of our family, 5 of our kids and 6 of our grandkids live in Asheville, North Carolina. So these little foster kids need family. So this is Diana and Isabella. This down here is my Facebook page. And you can scroll past the political stuff because I feel obligated to complain a lot. But we're going to go to North Carolina, and we're going to spend the summer there. And then in the fall, we'll probably go to Vietnam. And then in the spring, we'll come back to the mountains and see family some more. And we might just rinse and repeat if it's good. If not, we won't. But if you want to follow along and find out what Vietnam's like or what the kids are up to, I'll leave this on the table in there, and I'd love to have all of you as friends. And I just want to thank all of you and you and all the musicians. I'm done.
Thank you, Mike. We'll miss you. Mike, we'll miss you. We'll miss the girls, and you will be in our hearts forever. Our worship is over, but our service begins. Please join us in Gilmore Hall, and if you see someone not talking to anyone, maybe go say hello. Jess, I think, has agreed to hang around to talk as well. Thank you, Jess. And we hope this time together will help you. Oh, you know what? Jess, until a very recent time ago, was just Jess Martinez Hunt, and has recently become Dr. Jess Martinez Hunt. And so if you want, you can congratulate them on that. It was a lot of work. We hope this time together will help you through your week and will help you remember you are not alone. Blessings.